What's up, everybody? So recently I had the honor and privilege of hosting Singapore's first ever arm wrestling seminar. This was a beginner seminar and was targeted more towards newer people, but of course there were also some veterans of the sport, local veterans of the sport, who came as well, and I'm very thankful for their support. So in this video, I kind of want to talk about how things went down, my experience at the seminar, and some key takeaways from the seminar that I can share with you guys should you be interested in also hosting your own arm wrestling related seminar in the future. Now, I have had extensive experience coaching and training students in arm wrestling in the past, and doing that versus conducting a seminar is a very different thing. And if you're interested in arm wrestling coaching with me or any of my other coaches, link is in the description for arm wrestling coaching with Eastside Arm Wrestling. However, a coaching session usually is one-on-one or with a very small group. A seminar, you're talking to an entire audience and you're not quite able to give each person the same sort of attention as you would in a one-on-one session. So the information that you would have to convey at a seminar is a little bit different compared to arm wrestling coaching. But today I want to share with you 3 key tips that I have for anyone who's intending to educate a group of people about arm wrestling. So the first tip, and probably the most important one that I can think of, is to know your audience. This seminar was very clearly pointed out to be a beginner's arm wrestling seminar, and as such, I treated my audience as having no arm wrestling experience at all. And because of that, I did not use overly complex arm wrestling jargon, and if I did so, I had to explain it very clearly to them what I meant. And in fact, a big part of the seminar was me just going over very basic arm wrestling rules and also emphasizing, maybe even overemphasizing, the importance of training safely both at the gym and with a partner at the table. The second tip is to set a specific goal or some specific goals for your arm wrestling seminar. Now, not having specific goals means that more likely than not, you're probably going to go all over the place during your talk. And because of that, your audience is likely going to become very confused. So for this seminar, I set out very specific goals and such. I did not go overly nitty-gritty into all the details about arm wrestling technique and things like that. I didn't overshare information with my audience about arm wrestling countering, about arm wrestling competition skills, or anything like that. It was a very surface level introduction to arm wrestling and basic training techniques. And I think by setting a specific goal for your arm wrestling seminar, it allows you to better articulate what you want to convey to your audience, and allows them to better able to follow along what it is you are actually trying to tell them. So for example, a seminar could just be purely about hook training techniques. So within a hook training seminar, you would only cover things that are specific to training in a hook or hook pulling. You don't want to deviate too much away from the topic that is lined out for your arm wrestling training seminar, because having too many things going on can make it difficult for your audience to absorb and then take away that information from the seminar itself. So you don't want to overload information with your audience. And the last key tip that I want to share with you guys is to ask your audience questions. So one half of being a good speaker is being a good listener. And when you don't ask your audience questions or ask your students questions, you don't know what their problems are. As a teacher, as a coach, as a mentor, I can go over all the possible scenarios that I can think of in my head, and it would still sometimes not be enough to cover the questions that are burning in my students, my audience's minds. And quite a lot of times, some of these students or some of these audience members may be a little bit shy or a little bit unwilling to voice out their questions. They may think that it's something that's very obvious, that it might be embarrassing to bring up. And this is where you, as the more senior person, as the educator, should step in and try to prod these questions out of them. And the good thing about asking questions to individuals within a big group is that a lot of times multiple people within the group may have had the same question that they wanted to ask, but it just happened that everyone was kind of nervous or shy to ask the question because they thought it was dumb. So encourage Q&A between you and your audience. Don't let your seminars or your talks just be you speaking to the audience in a one-way manner. That's not a very effective way to go about teaching or educating people about anything in general. And here's just a bonus tip. As you're speaking to more and more people and get more and more students, it's difficult to connect with everyone on a one-on-one level, but you have to strive towards that. You have to approach everyone and try and figure out what is ailing them in their training. Ask them about their training structure, their practices, ask them about their backgrounds, ask them about their influences, who they've learned from. All of these are questions that you can ask your audience members, ask your friends, your students, or any new pollers that are coming to you for advice. And more often than not, these questions can lead to very enlightening replies or responses from them, which you can then use to tailor your advice towards them more accurately. For example, in the video right now, you can see Festus, who's one of the guys who showed up to the seminar. Really nice person, huge guy, 120 kilos, strong man background. He was actually a longtime follower of arm wrestling, but was just too shy to show up for any practices or any training sessions. But he decided to step out of his comfort zone, come for this seminar, and I got to talk to him, talked a little bit about his background with strongman, talked a little bit about his training, and very quickly figured out what kind of puller he was, his strengths, his weaknesses, and very easily, getting him to shape his style over here, which, wow, I can tell you, he is such a strong guy. A lot of people have the misconception that people from other strength disciplines may not be necessarily that strong in arm wrestling. I can tell you that that is complete bullshit. Festus, first time on the table, after a little bit of work, with his technique, really able to use all that strength he's got from his prior strength training background and apply it directly on the table. So in closing, I want to say that learning how to teach others about arm wrestling is such an important skill to have, and you don't have to be a coach to use some of the tips that I've outlined in this video. Having these communication skills are not just important for teaching others, but also for the growth of our sport. So I really hope that everyone takes away a little bit of this and starts to implement some of the tips in your arm wrestling life as well. Special thanks to Jeremy for organizing this event and St. Matthew's Church for having me there. I'm really looking forward to having more opportunities like this in the future. If you're based in Singapore and you want an arm wrestling seminar, hit me up on my socials. We can work something out. We can do different kinds of seminars, beginner, intermediate, advanced, anything under the sun. Well, that's all for today. Take care and see you beasts in the next one.